So thankfully we have a suspect in custody after an hours-long search. Our deputies with assistance of other agencies, they did a fantastic job and they got the suspect into custody without any issue, without any fight. So that was great. But how it all started was we had a search warrant that we were doing out here along Highway 29 North in Williamston this morning just after 8 o'clock. And we found some small, we'll call them explosive devices, but really what they are is house-made items, everyday items that you would find in your house that he was mixing together in order to cause small explosions. And so when our deputies tried to coax him out of the woods where he currently lives, he took off on foot, and that obviously prompted the scene that you see behind me here with our detectives and our deputies, along with, we had the ATF out here for the initial search warrant, the FBI, and so really it has been a hands-on search for him, and then obviously it ended with him being taken into custody.
Now, did the suspect or has law enforcement said any reasons as to why he was making these small explosives?
So through the investigation, through these woods right here, it seems like he lives in these woods. And so we do see a homeless population kind of congregate around this area. It's our understanding right now that maybe he was trying to push other homeless individuals away from his area, and in order to scare them or have some form of his own security, if you will, he decided to make these explosives. Now, the investigation is still underway, and that's one thought that our detectives had during this. But of course, we don't want anyone to be in possession of these devices no matter where they live, and so therefore we had a search warrant that we did this morning, and effectively we have him in custody now.
And just kind of a overview list of the number of agencies responding. I know you said that FBI.
Just because he decided to take off at that point, if you take off, we obviously will go after you if we have a pending charge, and therefore that's why you see the large scene. We do have SLED that assisted with us, the ATF for the initial search warrant, the FBI, as well as our own deputies, K9 unit, drone, things like that. So really all of our technology, all of our resources that we have at our agency were utilized along with other assistance from other agents as well.
Anybody else?
Do you know when the suspect will go through bond?
I don't know when he'll go through bond. He was just captured, obviously, right now. His name is Anthony Kyle Jenkins. And again, he lives in the wooded area. So as soon as he decided to take off, really that's when the scene developed. It was very hush-hush for a while with the search warrant. We were just merely trying to coax him out of the woods and get him away from those devices. And then obviously the scene grew into a larger picture just because he did decide to take off on foot.
Now, you mentioned that neighborhood that's right there, those homes right there on the edge.
Yeah.
We spoke to some of those individuals, and I'm assuming, I know they said officers spoke to them as well, but did they express any concern about their safety or anything like that?
I think any time that you have a suspect, just the word suspect alone is a little bit scary to any community. But until you know the full scope of really what that suspect is wanted for, it's obviously going to cause concern. We don't want to release any, premature information. So before we could get that out, we want everyone to just stay vigilant, stay calm. But I understand why the word suspect alone, and then you see this large scene along Highway 29, it obviously causes concern and attention. But these guys were mostly focused on just getting that suspect in custody. And again, we don't believe it was to necessarily hurt anyone with the small homemade devices. But we do believe that it was something that he shouldn't have had in his possession, and therefore, anytime that happens, we're going to remove that from from within someone's hands.
Any takeaways? Maybe even other individuals who may be considering, these small explosives to be very non-harmful and whatever, but clearly, it does raise awareness.
Yeah, I mean, our bomb squad and, the EOD guys, they do an amazing job. It's not something that you want to take lightly. And there are different forms of bombs. And anytime somebody hears that, it puts up a little alarm in their head of saying, wow, that's not a good word. But they do come in all shapes and sizes. And thankfully, in this case, they're dangerous, but it's not like you would see a grenade or anything like that. So we're thankful to have that away from his hands, but it's just something that we don't want in our community. It's not something that we want anyone to come across, goodness forbid a child or something like that. We just want to get it away from everyone's reach and everyone's grasp. And in that case, that required us taking him into custody.
And I don't mean to interrupt. You may have said, what was the original search warrant for? What was the original charge?
So the original charge was possession of a destructive device, and that has to do with why we were out here to begin with. So we had an idea of that the devices were out here, And so we just were out here to check it out, and we obtained a search warrant in order to do that.
Sure.
And then once we got out here, our idea was correct. We found those small homemade devices where he was mixing, everyday items you'd find in your house,
Sure.
together with other things. And really, we had hoped that he would just come into custody, we could have a conversation, but as soon as he took off on foot, unfortunately the scene became larger than really what was intended.
And is that why hazmat is out here to
Yeah.
get rid of the,
Yes.
to get rid
Yes.
of this device?
Anytime that you have the bomb squad out here, we really work hand in hand with
Sure.
the hazmat and all of our local municipalities just to make sure that we're safe than sorry.
Sure.
We want everyone to be on guard, but also if anything does go wrong, we need the right people here, at the scene.
Absolutely. Thank you.